Hello, friends. It's Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, June 10th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. We're bombing Iran right now as I speak. We'll get to all these details, the fallout from yesterday's bombing of Iran. The Lindsey Graham won over there in South Carolina primary yesterday. Take a look at that. The ins and outs, the back and forth of Iran war day number 103. We're going to take a look at all of this. Quite horrific indeed. We got a bunch of Epstein news. Bill Gates testified today in front of the House Oversight Committee. He was confronted by some activists. We do have that video. Some good stuff there. A bunch of big reports. What is it? They got a new book. They got a new book. Was it a book? Well, they wrote an article about a book out of the failing New York Times. Some maybe new revelations about Epstein. We'll take a look at that. We've got a bunch of economic news. Trump says he loves the inflation. We have geopolitical news. And it appears we're prepping to invade Cuba. Take a look at that. As Secretary of War Hegseth is down in Guantanamo Bay, along with another bunch of big military brass. Looks like we're going to invade Cuba next. And they keep saying Cuba's next, so that's what it looks like. The carpet bombing of Lebanon continues, and the genocide in Gaza continues as well. We have those reports and much more on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you for joining us. I see a few people coming online right now. Mac says, what a drag. You're telling me. You're telling me, Mac. So, yeah, it looks like all channels are go. All right, let's get to it. We got a lot of news to cover today for you. Let's start with this day in history. You get it lined up here. And shout out to Facebook. I don't know, for some reason, Facebook is actually letting us connect with our audience over there. So shout out to Facebook. We're doing quite well and growing organically on Facebook. I think they're just using me. They're using my content for clicks. And then as soon as I get to, I think you gotta have like 10,000 subscribers on Facebook. We're growing rapidly over there. But my paranoid conspiracy about them is they're just going to use me for the clicks. And when I get to the 10,000 subscribers eligible for monetization, they'll go ahead and delete me or shadow ban me and all that fun stuff that we know and love. Maybe, hopefully not. Hopefully not. If you can't trust Mark Zuckerberg, who can you trust out there? All right, let's get to this day in history. On this day of June 10th, we go back to the year 1648. On this day in 1648 in Russia, the people of Moscow rise up against Regent Boris Morozov. The people rose up. On this day in 1652, John Hull opens the first mint in America in Boston, Massachusetts. On this day in 1692, we saw the first victim of the Salem witch trials. Bridget Bishop is hanged after being found guilty of witchcraft in the colony of Massachusetts. On this day in 1752, Benjamin Franklin tests the lightning conductor with his kite flying experiment And we're told what he put a metal key on his kite, and it was struck by lightning, something like this, right? On this day, Benjamin Franklin's kite experiment, 1752. 1760, on this day, New York passes the first effective law regulating the practice of medicine. On this day in 1768, British customs officials seized John Hancock's ship, the Liberty, on the suspicion that Hancock had illegally unloaded cargo without paying duties a month earlier. See what they will do? Taxation theft. They will come seize your property at some point. There, they did it a month after he was accused of not paying his duties to Big Brother UK. Also on this day, 1978, riots broke out in Boston, Massachusetts, after customs officials seized John Hancock's boat, his ship, the Liberty. Imagine that. Imagine if we had tax riots instead of rioting about some cooked up racial divide. There, I saw the story yesterday. I don't even think I covered it. The Anthony kid, what's his name? Carmelo Anthony, same name as a famous basketball player. Anyway, he was convicted of murder, and they're trying to stir up some race riots again. He stabbed a white kid to death. You know what I mean? And they're like, no, it's racist. It's like, no, it's a slam dunk case. I'm sorry, no matter what race you are and the victim, and with the other victim, the race of your victim, you can't murder people. I know our government does, but you, Joe Blow citizen, and don't fall for a ginned up or race war, which they're trying to push. They try every summer, it seems, here now to gin up some type of race war here in America. Okay, continuing on this day in 1786, a landslide dam on the Danube River caused by an earthquake 10 days earlier collapses and kills an estimated 100,000 people there in China. So a landslide caused by an earthquake 10 days earlier killed 100,000 people on this day, 1786 in China. Quite a tragic event there. On this day in 1801, Tripoli declares war on America for refusing tribute. 4 years later, in 1805, First Barbary War, the Ottoman Tripolitania signs a peace treaty with American envoy Lear, ending hostilities with the United States over its refusal to pay tribute. The United States pays a ransom to secure the release of prisoners and lifts its naval blockade. On this day in 1848, we saw the first telegraph link between New York City and Chicago. And then the Fed subsequently went in and raided all those telegraph records, i.e. spying on you. On this day in 1898, U.S. Marines land in Cuba during the Spanish-American War. We're getting ready to attack Cuba once again, it appears here now. In the very near future, we're assured by the government. On this day in 1933, John Dillinger robs his first bank, taking $10,600 from the National Bank in New Carlisle, Ohio. On this day in, where are we at? Oh, trigger warning from Karen out there. This show is like a car wreck, train wreck. You don't want to look, but you can't look away. It may induce heavy bouts of drinking. On this day in 1935, AA was founded in Akron, Ohio by Dr. Robert H. Smith, Dr. Bob from Akron, and Bill Wilson from New York City. They founded Alcoholics Anonymous on this day, 1935. Please don't drink to my success. don't cause this show to induce liver damage. On this day in 1940, Italy declares war on France and Great Britain as part of its Axis alliance with Nazi Germany. And they go through, on this day, there's a bunch of Nazi massacres against Norway, against Czech Republic, against Poland. You see them crying about it all day? No, you don't. But Nazis massacred all those people as well as the people that cry about it all day and never let it go. Almost like it's a little bit too hyped. You get my drift there with the 6 million. On this day in 1975, Rockefeller panel reports on 300,000 illegal CIA files on Americans. And on this day in 1991, New York welcomes home troops from Operation Desert Storm in the mother of all parades. We do love killing us some Iraqis. We don't know why, because we had to go overthrow another puppet dictator, Saddam Hussein. It's awesome to kill Iraqis for that purpose, i.e. Operation Desert Storm. Thank you very much, Daddy Bush, for that gift to America and the world. On to our civil liberties history. On this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the year 1917. We saw American Aardvark Congress is founded. The American Aardvark Congress was one of the leading aardvark civil rights groups of the 20th century. It played a major role in advocating for the rights of aardvark people, for racial justice, and for separation of church and state. On this day, elections were held for representatives to the national organization. There's no conspiracy. They did found their Congress on this day in 1917, just saying. And on this day in 1968, Supreme Court okays police stops and frisks. In the case of Terry versus Ohio, decided on this day, the Supreme Court approved the police tactic of stop and frisk. The court defined a stop as a temporary detention of a person about whom the police have reasonable suspicion that the person is either committing or about to commit a crime. Thus, a stop is short of arrest. A frisk is a pat down or a stopped person of a stopped person's outer garments to see if he or she has a weapon, and can be done only for the purposes of protecting officer safety. Thus, a frisk is short of a full search. Now the TSA just date rapes you at the airport and naked body scans you. So we've come a long way with our civil rights here in America. And on this day in 1968, taxpayers can sue the government over unconstitutional practices. I'd say stop and frisk is one of them. The Supreme Court on this day in Faust versus Cohen ruled that taxpayers do have standing to sue the government for spending money on unconstitutional practices. Wow. I need to look into this further. I got a career of suing the government over unconstitutional practices. Where's all our civil libertarian attorneys out there? Man, you can make a whole career out of this. And on this day in 1999, in our civil liberties history, Supreme Court declares Chicago anti-gang law unconstitutional. The Supreme Court on this day struck down as unconstitutionally vague a Chicago ordinance restricting alleged gang activity in Chicago versus Morales by a vote of 6-3. The gang congregation ordinance outlawed loitering by, quote, criminal street gang members. Police officers who observed an alleged gang member on the street with another person were authorized to order them to disperse. If they failed to disperse, the officer could arrest them under the law. The Chicago Police Department had a formal policy designating areas targeted for enforcement, but the document was not made public, meaning that the people had no idea where the law would be primarily enforced. Unconstitutional there. But hey, they can stop and frisk you on this day. I believe that was overruled. I have to double check that. Anyhow, thank you for joining us as we're bombing Iran right now. Tragically enough, here's earlier in the day, Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth.
We just got done with detailed briefings, but of course he is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be. Because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. We just got...
And they're not lying about that. We're bombing Iran right now. Here's some double talking jive from the Department of War, Pete Hegseth.
If the response is in hitting bridges, electrical infrastructure, how would that not be a war crime potentially targeting civilian infrastructure?
Well, it's precisely the kind of disingenuous question that I'm used to from the media, impugning the motives of the folks on our side who are incredibly professional and incredibly effective. We will hit them hard on our terms, on the targets that improve the environment for us to operate in and undermine the capabilities that Iran wants to have. Again, they can't do that to us meaningfully the way that we can to them, but we're also clearly signaling to them, you have a choice. You have a choice in the way that you respond, and you have a choice with the negotiate our...
He said you have a choice with our incredible negotiators, Kushner and Witkoff. If you couldn't hear it at the beginning, the reporter asked him if the response is hitting bridges, electrical infrastructure, how would that not be a war crime? As it's being confirmed today that we did target civilian water reservoirs there. We'll take a look at that in a minute here. Warning to American citizens, if you're still over there in Iraq, the U.S. Embassy in Iraq is warning American citizens to be on high alert because you're a target. They're in the Iraqi embassy of Iran now, as they've said. Here's the warning. Do not travel. Travel advisory. Yeah, there's a big target on you if you're American over there in Iraq right now. And again, if we need to negotiate with bombs, we'll negotiate with bombs. And so...
to the War Department, if we need to negotiate with bombs, we'll negotiate with bombs. And we're very good at it. Nobody better in the world.
And so this government's not legitimate. It's a complete failure because that's literally all we have is to bomb people. Here's some, how's Howard Lutnick still walking around free in America? Well, he is. He is, and he posts this. They love mocking the public. As above, so below, esoteric symbolism. We went through the occult meanings behind the obelisk here, the Washington Monument there in D.C. with the reflecting pool. Howard Lutnick posted this earlier today. Of course, Commerce Secretary and next door neighbor to Epstein takes his family vacation on Epstein Island. That Howard Lutnick gamed the entire world by overcharging 40% on the tariffs and betting against the tariffs to fail, profiteering handsomely on the backs of the American consumer and many consumers around the world. So world-class criminal Howard Lutnick, our Commerce Secretary. Again, how's this guy allowed to walk around on the streets of America is a mystery, but not really, because he's high up in the dark occult and high up in the Epsteiners So he posted this. I stopped by the new reflecting pool. It's simply glorious. There were 1,000 people everywhere taking pictures and just enjoying its beauty. Thank you, President Trump, for restoring our city's national treasure. Really? Like he gives a damn about the city's national treasure. Give me a freaking break. MAGA's faking gay. Trump's faking gay. Lindsey Graham won his election in South Carolina last night. I don't know how. Here's Trump's congratulations to Senator Lindsey Graham of the great state of South Carolina on his big win tonight. With almost 60% of the vote against a large field of very capable candidates, there will be no runoff. Now, Lindsey will be able to devote his time to passing the desperately needed and long overdue Save America Act. He'll be able to have time to go to, I don't know, Disney World again and chase around little kids with a princess wand. And, of course, go on cable news and advocate to bomb the world. Here's Queen Lindsay victory speech last night.
Thank y'all. We won. So I want to start with a bunch of thank yous. I want to thank the big guy, God. Trump comes later. Mr. President, you're not far behind God, but we're going to start with him.
Says Trump's not far behind God. We're an idiocracy. How can this be real? You're telling me these elections are not rigged? By the way, Nancy Mace running for governor, she came in like 5th place. She's a sitting congresswoman, well known nationally and interstate. And she came in 5th place. Oh, because she didn't get the Trump endorsement because she's freaking advocating to expose the Epstein files. She actually voted for that. But we get bread and circuses. Thankfully, the UFC cage has been built there, as you can see, on the White House lawn for Trump's birthday. You can watch half-naked men roll around in their own blood and vomit. And so that's where we're at. UFC Freedom 250 and profiteer off it. Old boxer De La Hoya yesterday was reporting on, oh yeah, Trump's bought a bunch of stock in TKO before making all these announcements, knowing it was going to pump the value. And so it's all insider trading and Trump's homosexual fantasies is what this amounts to. Truly disgusting. No celebration for all Americans for America's 250th anniversary of our independence, allegedly. MAGA loves it, though, because they're faking gay, just like their leader, Trump. The White House says Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, doesn't even exist anymore. They're shooting back, bro. They're shooting back with something. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talk, no action. They hit Aardvark land with a freaking ballistic missile yesterday, and they posted, we don't have time to go through all the debunking of these claims by the White House. Continuing, the bully of the Middle East is dead. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. Trump posted that, and the White House reposted it right there earlier today. On the bombing we did yesterday on Iran, Trump says we hit them hard yesterday. He was talking today, and we're going to hit them again hard today. They're bombing them right now. So yesterday, Yesterday, United States committed a war crime by targeting civilian infrastructure in Iran. Attack on water reservoir leaves 200,000 Iranians without drinking water. A reported U.S. attack on 2 water reservoirs in southern Iran has left an estimated 20,000 people without access to drinking water, according to Mizan news agency. In a statement, the local Iranian water utility company said the reservoirs were targeted and completely destroyed on Wednesday morning in a U.S. strike in the Bimani area in Sirk in southern Iran. We're targeting civilian infrastructure. Their water reservoirs were blowing them up. That's a war crime. President of Iran addresses the latest attack. Again, this is yesterday. There's ongoing attacks right now. A critical infrastructure are the lifeblood of the people. Threats to target them, from transportation networks to electricity grid to water industries, are not a show of strength, but a sign of desperation in the face of a nation's will. Iran will be replying. Tehran launches regional counterstrike on Washington's assets after new U.S. strikes. Iran announced earlier today its latest retaliatory missile and drone operations launched against the United States military assets in the Gulf and Jordan, following our bombing on them yesterday. In response to U.S. attacks on Iran, the IRGC and the Iranian army announced strikes on U.S. military assets across the region, including targets at Jordan's Muwafaqah Saltai Air Base, where Iran said it struck F-35 fighter jets. Sorry, I didn't have the whole thing open. Where they say they struck F-35 fighter jet hangars and U.S. Command and Control Center and the U.S. Fifth Fleet and its radar systems in Bahrain. Strikes on U.S. linked targets in Kuwait were also reported. Iranian forces said the attacks were part of an ongoing retaliatory campaign, noting that a total of 21 U.S. air and naval targets have been struck since the start of operations, while also claiming the downing of a MQ-9 drone over Jam County. Iranian officials warned that any further U.S. aggression will be met with heavier and more intense attacks. It's on. It's on, man. Quite horrific indeed. And that all this is before the ongoing bombing campaign right now. You see, they put out a long statement from Iran's foreign ministry, put out a long statement. I'm going to read the whole thing. Let's see. About the same messaging. They'll retaliate back. You know what I mean? And they are. And they will continue to retaliate back. I don't know how they can, because we've destroyed their military and their navy. But somehow, some way, they are retaliating back against U.S. assets in the region, i.e. our military bases. Here's a big whopper of a lie by Trump already being thoroughly debunked.
You know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85.
So full of shit. U.S. crude stocks fall sharply as refineries crank up activity. U.S. commercial inventories fell by 7.2 million barrels last week to 426.5 million barrels, well above the 4 million barrel draw analysts had expected, as refiners boosted activity to fill supply gaps caused by the Iran war, according to an official from EIA statistics. And they go through the breakdown here. Did we steal their oil? Or is it a combination of stealing their oil and increased refinery production? See, Trump, in this post, to give you more context, he said, this is what he was talking about in that video clip. Last month, I directed our great U.S. military to execute a secret mission to support oil tankers and other commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Today, I'm pleased to announce that this effort has resulted in more than 100 million barrels of oil making its way through the Strait of Hormuz and into the open market. More than 200 commercial ships have safely traveled through the strait. He says they did it at night. Anybody following this knows that's not true. And doesn't even make sense, but okay, bro. Keep on lying for the markets. U.S. Central Command says they put out this post, a couple hours ago. So we're bombing them. We're bombing Iran right now. U.S. Central Command forces begin launching additional self-defense strikes. Again, if Iran wouldn't have built their country around all our military bases and our freaking Navy, we wouldn't even have this problem. It's self-defense strikes, bro. Continuing self-defense strikes today at 5:15 p.m. Eastern time against multiple targets in Iran at the commander-in-chief's direction. The strikes are in response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. Iran said they're going to strike back. They've been striking back. It's going hot and heavy, and it's going to get ugly, it looks like here. Earlier today, before they announced the bombing campaign against Iran, U.S. Central Command put out this post. CENTCOM disables non-compliant vessel in Gulf of Oman. I think we reported on this yesterday, but they put out one of their classic videos of whacking it. I guess we'll show you here. Let me read you the details from U.S. Central Command. They say yesterday on June 9th, U.S. forces disabled an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman for the second consecutive day after another vessel violated the ongoing blockade by attempting to transport oil from Iran. U.S. Central Command disabled Palau-flagged MT Setabella as it transited the Gulf of Oman. A U.S. aircraft fired precision munitions into the ship's engine room after the crew repeatedly failed to comply with directions from U.S. forces. CENTCOM forces have disabled 8 non-compliant vessels, redirected 134 ships that complied, and allowed 42 vessels supporting humanitarian aid to pass since instituting the blockade on April 13th. But what Trump was talking about, they say that's all secret, so he could just make up whatever. It was a secret, you see, even though there's shipping trackers all over it that debunk his claims. It's secret. Here's the whacking of the ship in self-defense, of course, because they wouldn't follow U.S. blockade. They tell us, U.S. Central Command tells us. No audio on this clip, but you can see, yeah, that's what Let's keep America safe and free right there. Let me tell you. America. Yeah, Aardvarkland's spying on us, but we are Aardvarkland. Let's watch this report from Ben Swan about these latest revelations of Aardvarkland spying.
Because while Congress is right now moving toward deeper military integration with Israel, the Pentagon is reportedly warning that Israel has become one of the most aggressive counterintelligence threats facing the United States. According to reporting, the Defense Intelligence Agency has elevated Tel Aviv's counterintelligence threat level to critical, the highest possible designation. Why is that? Well, because U.S. officials believe Israel has been aggressively collecting intelligence on senior members of the Trump administration. In fact, officials involved in Iran's policy and peace negotiations. This is worthy of repeating. We're not talking about China or Russia or Iran. Israel. The reported targets include some of the most important people shaping America's Middle East policy: Steve Witkoff, Elbridge Colby, Michael Ganino. These are people negotiating and writing policy. The people trying to determine whether the United States moves towards diplomacy or to deeper war. And if the reporting is accurate, the methods are extraordinary. Reports of spyware on U.S. defense foes, allegations of listening devices, even claims that Israeli operatives attempted to monitor American officials responsible for peace talks. Now, to be fair, Israel's embassy has denied the allegations entirely.
There you go. They denied it. I believe them. Why do you even need to spy on Witkoff when his sidekick is Kushner? Just saying. This is, you can't even make this stuff up, right? So Aardvarkland Embassy denies it. Aardvark TV poo-poos reports that Aardvarkland is spying on America while interviewing a literal convicted spy for Aardvarkland, Jonathan Pollard. Let's watch this short clip. You can't make up this level of gaslighting and psyops.
They lie. They lie.
They lie. That's true.
Oh,
but I
period.
don't think they're going to sign it. That's my feeling.
I do want to take a look at what the Vice President J.D. Vance had to say actually today on the prospect of a deal. In the same interview, he also actually didn't push back against the false claim that the New York Times recently reported, accusing Israel of spying on certain U.S. officials, something flatly denied by the White House.
They lie.
It's this guy right here, right? Jonathan Pollard, a literal convicted spy. Convicted by America for spying on America for Aardvarkland. Ambassador Huckabee hangs out with that dude all day. That's why I call him he's a traitor. I mean, you're hanging out with a convicted spy and you're a sitting U.S. ambassador. You're a freaking traitor, bro. Straight up. I mean, come on, man. And it wouldn't matter if they're from Aardvarkland, outer space, freaking hollow earth, China, Russia. It wouldn't matter. The fact of the matter are the facts of the matter, man. They just happen to be Aardvark. I know, we're so offended by it. It's the truth. It's the truth. Here's some more ridiculousness, because we haven't had enough. The White House testing out the bread and circus Coliseum blood sport homoerotic activity from Freedom 250 UFC fighting, lighting up the night sky there in demonic, satanic district of criminals. That was last night. So Trump's going to have his big 80th birthday bash there at the expense of America. And again, to witness half-naked men rolling around in their own blood and vomit is what it essentially amounts to. A homoerotic fantasy fulfilled for Trump on his 80th birthday. Here's what section are we on here now? Oh, we're on the police state's technocracy section. Hotspot on the X posted this. Palantir CEO Alex Karp. Let's take a listen. One of the top technocratic psychopaths mapping our future. into dystopia.
Systems. And then vis-a-vis Iran, it's 100 times more complicated because they have, it's like you look at American performance, which has been, thanks to the bravery of Americans and the ingenuity, and I would like to believe our tech, very few losses on our side, very precise, very controlled, and then in a complete ability, you saw this in Venezuela, to dismantle these things. And so because the dismantling is happening, we underestimate the complexity that it took to do that. It was not possible to do these things 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and now America can really do this with great precision and with very low cost to us in terms of lives and casualties.
Is that
They're so full of shit. I hope they don't pull a false flag at the freaking World Cup. The White House is celebrating today one more day until FIFA World Cup 2026 games come to America. This is another, the quote, elite use this as a human trafficking opportunity. Trump has profiteered off of it. America doesn't even like soccer. It's a giant scam, fraud. The FBI tells us Kash Patel can't look at you straight. I can't even do the stupid eyes. He did win the gold medal this summer for Epstein file cover-ups. He tells us preventing terrorism during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The FBI and its partners preventing terrorist attacks is the #1 job during the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup. Extremists have used major global sporting events in the past to do harm and spread their twisted ideologies. We are totally determined to head off any potential incidents and ensure the safety of players, fans, and all Americans and visitors during the tournament. With 68 matches planned in 11 U.S. cities across 39 days, we are working nonstop to meet the challenge in concert with partner agencies such as Department of Homeland Security and law enforcement at every level. The FBI is bringing to bear the full range of our counterterrorism expertise, crisis management, and other specialized resources honed over many decades and countless investigations. Are they going to stage a false flag terrorist attack run by the FBI? Looks like a very real possibility here now. Here's Department of Homeland Security head giant tyrant Mullen on the War Channel, Fox News, talking about how wonderful the police state is.
It is a huge task, but DHS is up to this. Unfortunately, the radical Democrats put this at jeopardy because they had to shut down as a whole for 76 days, but well over 100 days for CPP and ICE. So listen, we have 78 Super Bowls in 38 days in 11 cities. Most of these cities are having a game almost every other day. I will be in LA for the kickoff for the first game in the United States. It actually starts tomorrow in Mexico City. And we're super excited. We're going to have 5 to 7 million visitors. We're going to show the best of America. We expect to have safe games, but we also know there's bad actors out there every single day threatening us. So we have Customs and Border Protection over 5 stadiums. FBI is over 3 stadiums. FBS is over 1. We have the Coast Guard that is taking 2 different arenas. Mm-hmm. So we have all of it covered, but it's going to be a lot for starting tomorrow all the way until July 19th is the first night.
It's freaking awesome. We get soccer, which America doesn't even want, and they get to practice out their latest, greatest toys for the police state. Isn't it so wonderful? DHS seeks information on AI-powered biosurveillance. The agency wants to beef up its capabilities as bad actors deploy the technology ahead of major gatherings this year, according to documents published this week. And so they're rolling out AI-powered biosurveillance and anomaly detection. new AI software that they announced this week they will be implementing at the World Cup. I bet they have a bunch of other secret spy bio tracking devices that we don't even know about. That's just what they have publicly announced. Isn't it also wonderful? Here's a post from Dr. Tal Braun. We've had him on the show about the bat times, but I thought this was a good post, so I'll read it to you now. Modern data centers echo the pyramids as elite fortresses built by the masses for the ruling few, just as pyramids rose amid ancient depopulation, safeguarding pharaohs while the enslaved built them. Today's hyperscale facilities will be used for mass surveillance and the automation of everything until the slaves are no longer needed, and then the elimination will take place. These bunkers will become inhabitable fortresses for the second-tier elite, and if you're wondering where the top-tier elite will be, they'll have their own fortified islands, not holed up in data centers. History repeats itself in concrete and code. Good points there. Jason Bassler, Free Thought Project, says this: they are building a digital prison here in the United States. They are building an open air prison in Gaza. I would argue that's already been built. They are building a social credit prison worldwide. The Epstein Network's plan is still on track. Digitized, normalized, institutionalized. On to where we at on time. We're doing good. On to, well, our former doctor, Bill Gates, went to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee about his relationship with Epstein. Let's take a look at some of this earlier today.
I'm glad to be here voluntarily to testify, to help with the committee's work. I'll start with an opening statement in the hearing room. I hope my testimony is helpful to the important work of the committee to find justice for the victims. Thank you.
Do you regret your friendship with Jeffrey?
And he has that little grin that he does when he knows he's doing his little evil tricks, right? Bill Gates tells Epstein panel he never victimized anyone. He literally, we're all victims of Bill Gates one way or another. Did you get his bogus software? Did you get some of his bogus medicine? Or are you a victim of one of his millions of crazy mad scientist experiments out there? You know what I mean? So indirectly and directly, in many cases, we are all victims of Bill Gates. Tech billionaire Bill Gates testified about his relationship with deceased sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein before a House Oversight Committee earlier today. After the hearing, which was held behind closed doors, the Microsoft co-founder posted a transcript of his opening remarks to his personal website. He said, "I've never witnessed nor had any indication that Epstein was engaged in ongoing criminal conduct." Gates' statement said, "I never went to his island, his ranch, or his Florida home. I have never victimized anyone." Nevertheless, Gates said he should never have met Epstein in the first place. Based on what I know now, I understand that even he had delivered the new donors he promised. Even if he had delivered the new donors he promised, it would not have justified associating with him. Because Bill Gates' heart is in it for his philanthropic duty to humanity to depopulate the planet. And so even if he gave a lot of money, his abuse is not worth that money. Epstein claimed he could raise billions of dollars for global health for people for whom he provided tax and estate services. I recall being aware that Epstein had faced prior legal issues, but I did not fully understand the extent of the crimes he committed, Gates said. I accepted the introduction without applying the scrutiny I should have added. Gates said he had 3 preliminary meetings in 2011 to discuss philanthropy and 2 more in 2012, followed by more extensive conversations in 2013 and 2014. Gates said the discussion on philanthropy then reached a dead end and money was never raised. Our interactions ended in December 2014, 4 years before new reports in the press and unsealed court documents shed light on the extent of Epstein's crimes. Oh, man. We got a couple clips that Bill Gates was confronted by activists and told to stop being a baby flesh eater and stop drinking adrenochrome. Here's the first clip.
Follow Jesus, Bill. Stop being a baby flesh eater.
Stop being a baby flesh eater, if you couldn't hear that. And here's the actual post from Joseph P. Daniel 7 on the X.
Follow Jesus, Bill. Stop being a baby flesh eater. Stop consuming adrenochrome. Follow King Jesus. You can't escape his gaze, Bill Gates. God sees all your evil, Bill Gates. Every day he sees it. You reap what you sow, Bill. You can't escape the eyes of King Jesus. He's watching you. You Satanist, you transgender, Bill Gates. God knows you're a woman, Bill. There's nowhere to hide, Bill. Jesus is watching you.
Sir, step out of the path.
You got nowhere to hide, Bill. You're transgender.
He's calling him transgender. I never heard that one before, but what the hell? Where are we at on this? Here's ZBS News report on this failing New York Times article about a book that has a bunch of related Epstein revelations.
Morning is revealing what it calls a freak out. That's a quote inside the White House over the Epstein files. The article describes a panicked Vice President J.D. Vance as he and other advisors met inside the Situation Room last year. It also points out that one White House official suggested that they pardon Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. It was during that Situation Room meeting that a Wall Street Journal report was published. You remember it. It detailed a close relationship between the president and Epstein. Let's bring in CBS News chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, has the White House responded to this article yet?
They have just responded, Adriana. They put out a statement saying essentially that President Trump has been totally exonerated when it comes to anything having to do with Jeffrey Epstein, and that his administration has released thousands of pages of documents and therefore has done more to.
Trump exonerated himself. Here's that article, inside the White House freak out over the Epstein files. The New York Times magazine published an article adapted from the forthcoming book, Regime Change Inside the Imperial Presidency of Donald Trump by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. That's what this was all about. Let me read through a brief summary for you here. A DOJ FBI memo around July 7, 2025, stating there is no client list of powerful men was found, and affirming Epstein's suicide backfired dramatically. It sparked significant backlash, especially from the MAGA base demanding full transparency. This escalated with an impending damaging Wall Street Journal story on Trump's past relationship with Epstein. Top advisors held multiple high-stakes meetings, often in the Situation Room, with and without President Trump to manage the crisis. These sessions revealed deeper divisions. Trump wanted the issue buried and showed little sympathy for base concerns, while J.D. Vance pushed aggressively for greater transparency, including full file releases and even a congressional probe. Other officials worried about political damage, conspiracy theories dividing the coalition, and the risks of releasing unverified or embarrassing material, including mentions of Trump. Top 10 points from this story and excerpts of the book. Situation Room as Epstein War Room. Senior officials repeatedly met in the secure Situation Room, normally for national security crises like bombings. DOJ FBI memo backlash. The memo denying a, quote, client list and aiming to quell speculation, instead inflamed the MAGA base, leading to louder calls for full document release. Trump's stance: President Trump had, quote, no interest in releasing Epstein-related materials. He snapped at his aides, raising the topic, and tried unsuccessfully to kill the Wall Street Journal story. His team struggled because he wasn't sympathetic to the base's demands. J.D. Vance's role and panic. Vance chaired key meetings, called it a, quote, huge problem, and appeared panicked about divisions in the MAGA coalition. He was seen by some as buying into dark conspiracy theories about elite cabals and pushed hard for releasing all DOJ files and even a congressional investigation. Vance's radical proposals: he suggested approaching Tucker Carlson to interview Ghislaine Maxwell in prison to help clear Trump's name, and advocated releasing unverified allegations, including those involving Trump, for maximum transparency. Key attendees in these Situation Room meetings were Trump Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, David Warrington, top White House attorney Carolyn Leavitt. We kind of miss her. She's on maternity leave still now for the majority of the Iran war. Bobblehead Leavitt, Stephen Chi Young, that big old fat sumo wrestler looking dude, top communications man on Trump's team. And a top cover-up artist, Todd Blanche, acting director of the DOJ, looking to become the attorney general here now in America. Stanley Woodward Jr., James Blair, now defunct 50K Dow Bondi. I can't look you straight. Kash Patel on the speakerphone. Internal perception: some officials viewed Vance as a major conspiracy theorist. White House Chief of Staff Wiles and others pushed back against full releases due to risks. Broader paralysis: the issue consumed and often paralyzed high levels of the administration far more than publicly known. with ongoing clashes over the balance transparency gestures without exposing damaging info to the administration. Other revelations, including like Pam Bondi sharing file binders with influencers, caused internal uproar. Discussions reportedly including explicit, uncalibrated allegations from files. Political implications: the scandal threatened to erode support among key demographics, young male voters. It exposed fractures in the Trump coalition and challenges of governing amid long-standing Epstein-related conspiracies and distrust. There's no conspiracy. Go read the files, bro. I mean, the failing New York Times, they just can't get off the conspiracy, because they're obviously Mockingbird Media working for the intelligence agencies. But bro, it's all there in the files. We've covered it in depth here. So go ahead and yell conspiracy all day. It's there. So you're just making yourselves, I guess for their audience that doesn't read the files, that they would buy into, oh, it's just a conspiracy. No, go read them. I did, like I said, 2 big shows with William Ramsey, and we did deep dives. And we show you many of the files. So proving all of these allegations. But they just say, oh, those were FBI intake forms that no follow-up investigation ever happened. You know what I mean? So more from this New York Times story. Mediaite post the 6 splashiest revelations. Trump berated Charlie Kirk. Says that Trump was not happy with some of his most influential supporters, like Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and Megyn Kelly, publicly pushing the administration to release the Epstein files in July of 2025. After a Turning Point USA turned into an Epstein grievance festival where several speakers ripped then Attorney General Pam Bondi, Trump called Kirk and scolded him. Bongino went nuclear over handling of Epstein files. Fed Bongino there. JD Vance tried to broker it down, tried to broker a sit down with Joe Rogan for Epstein files cleanup. Kash Patel pushed for Bondi's immediate resignation after nothing to see here Epstein files memo. Bongino predicted Epstein would be Trump's Iran-Contra. It's way worse than that. Vance pitched we already said that, Tucker interview to clean up the Epstein files. Here's a little bit more about Bill Gates' relationship with Epstein. Wall Street Journal report.
Bill Gates has spent years carefully cultivating his image as an admired global philanthropist. But as more details about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein become public, that image is starting to crack. I've been reporting on Gates's ties to Epstein for roughly 5 years. Gates and his lieutenants had long claimed that his ties to Epstein were strictly about philanthropy. Over the last 3 months, I found that revelations about his association with Epstein have started to shatter his carefully curated image. In a February town hall with Foundation employees, Gates owned up to having 2 affairs with Russian women referenced in Epstein's emails. But in his divorce proceedings, allegations relating to more than 20 affairs had come up. A Gates spokesperson told me he wasn't involved with any illegal activities with Epstein and acknowledged it was a mistake to have met with him. Soon after that town hall, the CEO of nuclear company TerraPower, which Gates founded, told staff that 2 affairs Gates publicly acknowledged didn't involve the company. But several current and former employees found that confusing and told me that one of the women was closely tied to TerraPower. Her name was in the company's internal system, and she had been featured in a 2011 article, including a photo shoot with Gates and TerraPower Vice Chair Nathan Myhrvold. I reached out to the woman and TerraPower, but they didn't respond to requests for comment. A Gates spokesperson told me he didn't have an inappropriate relationship with any employee of TerraPower. And a person familiar with the matter told me that the brief affair happened after she worked there. Fallout from the revelations about Gates's ties to Epstein is eroding efforts to protect his reputation. He's been snubbed from major events, including Microsoft's annual CEO Summit. When I reached out to Microsoft for comment, a spokesman told me they invited Gates to the summit next year. The Gates Foundation told its employees it had opened an external review into its ties with Epstein. This month, Gates will face questioning before a congressional committee over his...
He's a great philanthropist carrying out Malthusian transhumanist depopulation agenda, so we should give him a break. He said he was blackmailed by Epstein over his affairs, is one of the tales. Old Bill Gates, the great philanthropist, is spinning as well there now. He's actually a victim of Epstein as well. On to, Trump's piece of garbage. The 4 Republicans now, and he's that we're all MAGA big Trumpers: Massey, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're all out because they voted to release the Epstein files. And Nancy Mace, it looks like, is out of at least elected office. I don't know if she's going to be a Fed or what she does, but she lost big time the governor race there in South Carolina last night. So she's out. I don't believe she's ran for to re-up her House of Representatives seat there. So looks like Nancy Mace is out. Maybe she'll just be a regular old Fed now. I don't know. But she says, I was one of the only 4 Republicans to vote to release the Epstein files. I stood my ground while others folded. I stood strong when the pressure came from every direction and others wanted me to stay silent. I did not flinch. It cost her political career. So as with all these people now we're seeing, right? I guess the only one left is Lauren Boebert. What's her name? MTG resigned. Nancy Mace lost the election. Massey lost the election. The only one left we got is Boebert. Out of these 4 Republicans that actually voted to release the Epstein files. She went on to say here, if the vote were held again tomorrow, I would still cast the exact same vote in regard to the Epstein files every single time. I will never stand on the side of a cover-up. I will never protect the powerful from accountability, not for either party, not for anyone. My moral compass does not bend to Washington. It never has. It never will. It points in one direction toward what is right. I did not come to Congress to protect a broken system. I came to fight for you, to expose the corruption, to tell the truth, to demand accountability, and to stand up for the people who sent me here. And I will continue to do it and I will continue to do it for every last day I serve. Good rhetoric, and her voting record backs it up, at least in that regard. Here's New Mexico Attorney General, as we're still trying to, what's up with the Zorro Ranch there in New Mexico. He says that the DOJ is not working with them. Shocking, I know. That's what I was saying before when we were talking about, oh, New Mexico's doing a truth commission. I was like, but you're telling people report to the DOJ. They're the ones covering up this whole thing. Let's watch this clip, a little bit of this. I'm way past my commercial break. After the Epstein section, we'll go to live commercial break.
And to speak with survivors. This was a goal, right? Talk to me about this conversation that you had with them yesterday.
So there was a convening that was hosted by the World Without Exploitation, which is a group that really is focusing on raising awareness in this country and around the world, frankly, about the impact of human trafficking. And it provided an opportunity for us to get in front of Epstein survivors and let them know about New Mexico's ongoing criminal investigation.
To do this, to conduct this investigation, you obviously need materials, you need information, and you have asked, and you referenced this yesterday too, that you've asked the DOJ for unredacted access to the Epstein files, and you still do not have it. Why do you think that is?
Well, look, we're working through a process that...
Because they're covering it up. We just said, we're working through a process, the 2-week process, because they're covering it up. And again, here's Trump at the Knicks game with Howard Lutnick eating pizza. Pizzagate's real. Yeah, they're disgusting baby-eating blood drinkers, dark occultist Satanists. That's who's running the government, allegedly. At least these puppets as well. The real power behind the mask are as well. Epstein reading room is in D.C. there once again. Let's watch this short clip. The Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room opened in D.C. and will remain open through Trump's UFC Freedom 250 birthday celebrations. So quite a display they've put together there. Well, we still have a bunch more. We played that. Well, we'll just keep going. Here's again Les Wexner's deposition admitting that they're working for the Rothschilds. Again, everybody acts stupid. No, said it multiple times in the emails. He works for the Rothschilds, a spy for Rothschild intelligence above government.
Done personal work for the Rothschild family in France. Well, specifically, I talked to Elie de Rothschild, and so I mentioned that earlier. So he represented their whole family, so there have been a whole bunch of people. I mean, most of them I never would have met, but I knew Elie. He would say, like, I'm providing financial advice to the founders of Google. I'm providing financial advice to Jeff Bezos. Answer another question. 5 words, okay? Answer.
His lawyer said, I'll effing kill you if you answer another question about the Rothschilds. Patrick Howley, independent reporter out there, said, and he worked for Breitbart. He's been dishing a lot of inside scoops about his time there. He said Andrew Breitbart was an agent who went off the reservation and started talking about Podesta parties, i.e. Pizzagate, i.e. the Podesta emails. So they iced him. They tried to do the same to Charlie Kirk, but the internet is smarter now. They did not get away with it. MK Ultra uses Alice in Wonderland imagery. Here's Britney Spears having a psychotic break of her MK Ultra programming.
You've had a year that would test a lot of people.
It was pretty rough. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird. Ew. I'm embarrassed. Can we stop this?
All part of this fear-based, trauma-based mind control, part of Epstein, part of the whole system here now. Victim right there, you can see having a glitch in her MK Ultra mind control programming. Very tragic. Aleister Crowley recommended Alice in Wonderland to his followers, saying it was valuable for understanding the Kabbalah, symbolism, logical puzzles to space and time, the rabbit hole, the looking glass. Alice Ladler, Gruel, who inspired the stories, was a relative of Samuel Ladler Mathers. Wanted to get that out there. Heavy occult mind control programming in Alice in Wonderland. All right, let's take our live commercial break now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News, as we're sadly enough bombing Iran right now. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below the video. Get yourself a holograph sticker over there. Pride Month, all the colors of the rainbow. If you don't like that, we have a white background sticker and a clear sticker as well. weaponizednews.com/shop. Check out the shop over there. We got a bunch of coffee mugs, a bunch of gear, t-shirts, baseball caps, shot glasses. weaponizednews.com/shop. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. All those links are in the description below this video. Become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack channel. We post the full show. I believe we're live streaming on Substack right now. A summary to the show and links to almost everything we talk about for documentation and further research purposes. Help support independent reporting and analysis, brought to you 5 days a week, broadcasting live, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time, weaponizednews.com/shop. Any which way you choose to support us is much appreciated. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All of that is free for you. Thank you very much to all the patrons to the store, the donors, and the subscribers, and especially the paid subscribers out there. I truly do appreciate it, and you motivate me to keep going in this sea of madness. weaponizednews.com/shop. I do appreciate everybody tuning in and all of your support. All right, welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Wednesday, June 10th, 2026 edition. On to the economic reporting we have for you. Breaking, Trump says he's not looking to renew North American free trade deal. Trump says the government will seek equity stakes in top AI companies. And so, again, they're making it too big to fail, too big to jail. They're insulating it. That is AI, fraudster, scammer, surveillance, bastard companies. They're tucking it under the veil of national security. So this is your corporate fascist government, top AI companies with a government stake in them. Shell CEO says oil market 1.2 billion barrels short now due to the Iran war. Lockheed Martin, Palantir, and Amazon helped fund Trump's White House ballroom. They also share more than $50 billion in federal contracts. That's a report out of Fortune magazine. I pay to play. It's a giant, it's corruption writ large for our own safety and national security. The U.S. Navy awarded Lockheed Martin $154 million to begin buying parts for 11 F-35 stealth fighters for an unmanned foreign customer. The deal is part of the Foreign Military Sales Program, with production work running through 2030. That's a report out of Defense Blog. U.S. inflation surges to 4.2% in May. And I'd say it's probably quadruple that in many prices. In many prices, is actually quadruple this number. It's up to like 16% in many prices. I'd say that's a more accurate street level view than this rigged up fake 4.2% inflation number. It's a hell of a lot worse than that. A hell of a lot worse than that. Trump doesn't care. He says he loves inflation. Here's the clip of that.
Sir, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning. Could that be a
No, I love it.
for
The numbers were
Republicans
great.
to try and hold
You know what I
the
really
House
love?
and Senate?
I love the inflation.
Sir, Mr. President.
And to put it in, people say, well, that's out of context. No, the rest of the clip was the clip we played at the beginning where he's bragging about stealing Iranian oil on a secret mission. He makes no explanation about why he loves inflation. They're laughing at you, mocking you, and it's mocking us all here now as we suffer through the inflation created by his war with Iran based on fake, they're going to nuke us in 2 weeks. The price of oil, or the price of a gallon of gasoline, did go down 1 cent today. So maybe, I guess we did win the war 39 times now? It's 38 yesterday. And I guess we won the war again 39 times because the price of a gallon of gasoline, according to the AAA national average, is now $4.15, down 1 cent from yesterday. And they discontinued minting pennies in this country. So we'll just call it about the same. There you go. $4.15 on average across America for the price of a gallon of gasoline. And then one of the worst economic data trackers, from Brown University, from the Watson School of International and Public Affairs, man, it's looking every day it's just racking up here now. Per household cost burden across both gasoline and diesel, you can see here at the bottom now, is up to $433.95 per household. And then total consumer cost burden since the beginning of the Iran war on February 28, 2026 is now up to $56.8 billion. It'll go well past $57 billion tomorrow. As you can see it ticking off there faster than we can count interest on the national debt. The total consumer cost burden since the start of the Iran war. Right there, as you can see, it will be well above $57 billion tomorrow. You can bet on that. Iranian fuel imports fall for the first time since the bat time. The value of Iran's fuel imports fell by $400 million, decreasing from $3.1 billion to $2.7 billion. The first decline since the bat time. According to analysts, the main factors behind this reduction in petroleum production import cost were where the elimination of diesel imports, stronger measures against fuel smuggling, and the implementation of the 3-tier gasoline pricing system. That's a report out of Fars News. The dollar, US dollar, is fully weaponized now by the US Treasury Department. We're using it as a weapon of war. US sanctions China and Hong Kong-based networks over Iran weapons procurement. The US Treasury announced earlier today sanctions against 9 individuals and entities accused of supporting weapons procurement for Iran's IRGC as part of economic fury pressure campaign against Iran. We're hitting them with the dollar weaponized, and we're hitting them with literal bombs that are blowing up their infrastructure and people. So it's a multi-front war there now in Iran that we've won 39 times, but the Strait of Hormuz is essentially closed. Khomeini's in charge, and the bombing is commencing upon winning the war. And this is all part of a larger scheme, as we continue to report here now, of global famine, collapse, i.e. the Great Reset. We're still in Agenda 2030, Goals for Sustainable Development. All of it ties together for one world government agenda. We're seeing the highest number of armed conflicts around the world since World War II. There were 65 active conflicts worldwide in 2025, which direct wars between states doubling to 8, the most since records began being kept in 1946, according to Sweden's Uppsala Conflict Data Program, as reported by NPR. Roughly 244,600 people were killed in conflicts last year in 2025, up from 187,000 the year before, and the highest total since the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. This year will probably top that. I don't know. They had a bunch. They had a bunch of the numbers are dead Palestinians there, right? Sure. For last year. I don't even want to see this year. It's all quite horrific, all part of global depopulation, all part of the Great Reset, all part of loving philanthropists like Bill Gates. Here's some couple charts about it. Can take a look. Yep. Topping out the charts there. Active state-based conflicts in 2025. All quite horrific. All wars are bankers' wars, and war is a racket. All quite horrific. Pakistan. I thought Trump caused peace with Pakistan and Afghanistan. No? Oh, that was the other one. Pakistan, India? No. Pakistan airstrike yesterday in Host province killed 19 civilians, including a woman and 8 children in Mian village, according to reports by Tolo News. The report comes after Afghan officials accused Pakistan of carrying out overnight airstrikes in eastern Afghanistan. It's pretty hot. It's getting hotter. Colombian President Gustavo Petro told the United Nations Security Council today that wars in the Middle East are being driven by the global greed for oil and the resurgence of what he called Nazi ideology, arguing that the pursuit of hydrocarbons is fueling violence across the region. Petro said Aardvarkland's killing of tens of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza is linked to its economic and political interest and shows that racism and fascism are again shaping world affairs. after the U.S. delegation condemned what it described as Petro's antiseptic rhetoric and comments diminishing the Holocaust cost. Petro responded that he aims to prevent a new Holocaust against the people of the third world, and called on the international community to uphold the principles that led to the creation of the United Nations. Meme of the days from the Department of War here now. They put this one out earlier. They want us to know they're monitoring the situation. That's right. They're spying on you and I right now, and spying on Iran as well. Iranian hacker group Collective Handala threatens imminent strike against U.S. forces. The coming hours will be bitter, they said. In a release on the internet, they said, the missiles are ready to launch, and Handala is waiting for your foolishness. The strike is in the coming hours will be bitter. We advise American Marines to contact their families now and say goodbye. Welcome to hell. War is hell. It's quite horrific. Threats from the Iranian hacker Collective Handala there. Looks like we're heading into Cuba anytime. They keep saying it. U.S. preparing for anything. This was posted by the Department of War earlier today. Secretary of War tells troops at Guantanamo Bay the United States prepared for anything. Hegseth tells troops at Guantanamo Bay. He met with troops earlier today for a physical fitness training session, and also discussed readiness with mission leaders at the installation, Guantanamo Bay there in Cuba. What happens with the future of Cuba is in the hands of the president of the United States and the leadership of Cuba, Hegseth said. No matter what, the Department of War is going to be prepared and postured for any possible contingency. Naval Station Guantanamo Bay is part of U.S. Southern Command and serves as a centerpiece for U.S. regional security in the Caribbean. It is also home to 3,000 U.S. military personnel and Guantanamo Bay detention camp, responsible for safe, humane legal care and custody of law of armed conflicts detainees. That's a long post. I'm going to read the whole thing, but they just go through. Here's Hegseth with the troops in Guantanamo Bay.
What happens with the future of Cuba is in the hands of the President of the United States and the leadership of Cuba. No matter what, the Department of War is going to be prepared and postured for any possible contingency. We're here to talk about that today and then do a little PT.
They look excited to go ahead and invade Cuba, right? It's exciting times. Shadow President of America, Bibi, goes full psycho mode and tells people of Lebanon to immediately surrender and join Aardvark land or face destruction. He said it in his oh no, he said it in English actually. Why didn't you say it in the language? I don't know, but here's his message in English to the Lebanese.
I have a message for you, the people of Lebanon. Israel is not at war with you. We're at war with Hezbollah, that has taken your country hostage, that does Iran's bidding, that uses your territory to launch terrorist attacks against Israel. Do you remember what Lebanon was like before Iran and Hezbollah turned it into a nightmare? Remember the cafes? Remember the culture? Remember the calm? All that's gone because Hezbollah and Iran want to drag us into war over and over and over again. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. You know by now that Israel will do whatever it takes to protect.
I can't. They just All of them say they're building greater aardvark land project. They're taking Syria, they're taking Lebanon, they're taking Gaza, they're taking the occupied West Bank. They want to take some of Egypt and Jordan as well. He's doing it for their own safety. Netanyahu cares about the Lebanese people, and he showed it with ongoing carpet bombing campaigns. 8 aardvark land airstrikes have been reported on southern Lebanon. At least 8 people killed. It's an ongoing carpet bombing campaign there in southern Lebanon. Aardvark land continues attacks on southern Lebanon. Aardvark land attacks on the southern Lebanese city of Tyre and surrounding towns killed at least 13 people and wounded 15 others. There's a bunch of different reports. It goes on and on and on. Here's some video. They're leveling the joint, but it's for their own safety and security because of Iran and Hezbollah. They're carpet bombing the joint. Got a bunch of these clips. Let's see. Is that the same one? It's hard to even tell. It's just like they blew up everything in piles of rubble. It's like, is that even the same clip? It's hard to tell with all the piles of rubble that they're creating. Hezbollah is fighting back here now. They've announced multiple operations, ongoing operations against aardvark land ground invasion of Lebanon. They announced 9 operations in one post, 6 operations in another post, and 2 operations in another post. So ongoing, dozens, you could say, operations by Hezbollah against the invading forces of aardvark land over the last 24 hours there, as it's getting very intense. Very intense. Reporter there on the ground said the carpet bombing, Hattie, I know I butchered his name, apologies. But reporter on the ground there says the carpet bombing campaign against southern Gaza continues. And so we don't even know. They're whacking a bunch of Lebanese. I guess we'll get the death toll tomorrow as it's ongoing here now. Another one, aardvark land attacks kill at least 30 people and wound 92 others over the last 24 hours, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health. And so tomorrow it's going to be a bunch more. This was earlier today. It's ongoing. Cumulative total since March 2nd of dead Lebanese, now up to 3,696 dead Lebanese and civilians, and 11,413 wounded Lebanese now since March 2nd. All quite horrific. Here's some more images of the carpet bombing campaign. You can see they're going about systematically leveling southern Lebanon. They're off in the distance. You can see the carpet bombing campaign. Aardvark land occupation troops abduct 2 Lebanese municipal workers. Remember those reports we had yesterday about Ben Gvir talking about they're going to kidnap Lebanese women and children. Well, now they've went about doing that. Earlier today, aardvark land occupation forces abducted a municipal councilor and a municipal worker from the southern Lebanese town of Kafr Suba, where they were operating a water pump on the outskirts of the village, taking them to an undisclosed location. And Aardvark Land Patrol took away the municipal workers, is what's being reported by Lebanon state-run national news agency, NNA. The 2 men were working on a water pump to help the town get water, and Aardvark Land Patrol stopped them and took them away. I guess they haven't got to the women and children kidnappings yet. That's coming. Now they're kidnapping municipal workers servicing water pumps, i.e. poison the well, i.e. bomb the water infrastructure. Well, the maintenance workers, they kidnap them. So another part of the scheme here of dehydration. Don't worry, in idiocracy, electrolytes are what plants crave, you see, because Brondo at the White House can save us all. Lebanese army, they whacked a Lebanese army soldier here now. They announced the death of Muhammad Soliman al-Ahmad. He's now been pronounced dead, succumbing to wounds sustained in Aardvarkland airstrike that targeted southern Lebanon. So here's a dead Lebanese soldier. I thought they were going after Hezbollah. Who knew? Well, this guy's not Hezbollah. He's a Lebanese army soldier, and they killed him. You're like, but they're still going to level Gaza, right? And genocide the rest of the Palestinians. Yeah, they are. Tragically enough here now. Aardvarkland prepares renewed assault on Gaza. The Aardvarkland military has approved several plans for potential return to large-scale offensive war in Gaza, on Gaza. Just call it a genocide, according to Haaretz, as ceasefire negotiations continue in Cairo. There's no ceasefire, bro. What are you even talking about? It's like, it would be laughable if it wasn't so tragic. Military sources said Chief of Staff Yol Zamar has signed off on plans. Military Chief of Staff there has signed off on plans prepared by the Southern Command for possible renewed ground invasion, citing claims that Hamas has rebuilt its capabilities. However, Aardvarkland political sources said the government has not yet approved any expansion of the campaign due to pressure from Bibi to prepare for, despite pressure from Bibi to prepare for further escalation. Meanwhile, Egyptian mediators in ceasefire talks between Palestinian and Aardvarkland factions continue to demand disarmament of Hamas, with mediators warning that key issue remains unresolved and outcomes are still uncertain. They said they're not giving you the right to self-defense. So it's like a dead issue, but that will be the wedge they continue to use an excuse to continue the ground invasion and genocide, you see. Aardvarkland forces torture prominent Gaza hospital director in solitary confinement after 17 months without a charge. Prominent Palestinian pediatrician Dr. Hassim Abu Safai, the director of Northern Gaza's Camel Adwan Hospital, has been transferred to a maximum security isolation cell, barely larger than 1 meter by 1 meter, according to Physicians for Human Rights, Aardvarkland. The 53-year-old physician has been held for over 500 days without any formal charges under Aardvarkland's controversial unlawful combatants designation. So obviously this doctor is a big Hamas terrorist. Everybody knows doctors are Hamas terrorists. New footage proves Aardvarkland troops targeted family car before killing Palestinian infant in Hebron. Newly released footage obtained by human rights group B Talisman captures the moment Aardvark land forces opened fire on a Palestinian family car in Hebron neighborhood June 5th. The video clearly contradicts official narrative showing the vehicle actively slowing to stop at soldiers' command while posing absolutely no danger. Well, they weaponized their car, all ICE, right? Let's watch this video. And they weaponized their car. Sure. If ICE can get away with shooting Americans in the face claiming that, these guys certainly can. No audio on this clip. Let's watch the video and see. Looks like they weaponized their car to me. Yep, they tried to run him over. I saw it. Sorry. So apologies for that gore. If you could see it there, they're holding their dead 7-month-old baby after they're shot by Aardvark land forces behind claims they weaponized their vehicle against them. But turns out they lied again. I know. Shocking. Aardvark land drones in southern Lebanon are using psychological warfare, the sound of children crying, to lure out civilians. Aardvark land forces have expanded their psychological warfare tactics in southern Lebanon, deploying quadricopter drones to weaponize the sound of crying babies and pleading women. First responders and residents remaining in the frontline villages report that these low-flying drones broadcast looped audio recordings of sirens, the Quran, or other civilians begging for help in the dead of night. Middle East Eye reports the local paramedic has him exposed the insidious strategy, explaining that the military uses these horrific, distressing sounds to exploit basic human empathy and lure residents out of their homes into the open to be identified or targeted. The psychological battlefield also extends to highly personalized intimidation campaigns aimed at breaking local solidarity and forcing total displacement. Tarek Mazami, founder of the Gathering of the People of the Southern Border Towns, told Middle East Eye that Aardvark land quadricopters swarm multiple southern villages to broadcast warning messages, naming him explicitly, accusing him of belonging to Hezbollah, and ordering residents to isolate him. The harassment successfully forced him into repeated displacement to protect his neighbors, proving how Aardvark land utilizes sonic control to fracture communities and threaten anyone advocating for the right to remain and rebuild. Aardvark land's deployment of acoustic warfare mirrors tactics extensively documented by rights groups and medical professionals during the ongoing genocide in Gaza, a deliberate tactic used in order to target civilians who attempt to come to the aid of what they assume to be a child in distress. Again, they sit around. That's what it's got to be, right? The Aardvark land war room sits around brainstorming what is the next war crime more horrific than the last one that we can roll out here now to the genocide. It's got to be something like this. I mean, truly amazing. We need to sanction and possibly bomb now the UK, Canada, France, and Norway. Yesterday it was unveiled those countries are coordinating targeted sanctions against Aardvark land individuals and networks accused of financing, facilitating, and carrying out violence in the occupied West Bank. You're done. UK, Canada, France, Norway. You're done, bro. You're antiseptic. You're done. In a joint statement, the foreign ministers for the four countries, together with Australia, you're on the list now too, bro. Said their sanctions were intended. It's going to be a sanction battle. Now we're going to up it. And hey, there's a bunch of terrorists there in UK, Canada, France, Norway, and Australia. You know what to do, right? Continuing here, they said the sanctions were intended to hold extremist settlers accountable for the horrific levels of settler violence against Palestinian civilians. There's not even Hamas in the occupied West Bank. Who cares? We have a greater aardvark land project to build, you see. We continue to urge the government of aardvark land to take action to ensure meaningful accountability for violence in the West Bank. The statement added, they're backing it. Aardvark Land's foreign ministry condemned the sanctions, arguing that the governments behind them had not done enough to combat anti-Septicism. Same old, it's just so tired at this point. They're not even septics. All right. They're from Europe. And they're evil. Following dark occultist Talmudic satanic practices. And so it's all giant charade, propaganda, and lies from the father of lies, Satan. So there you go. The real essence of these steps is the attempt to impose a political stance regarding the right of aardvarks to settle in the land of aardvark land and concerning the aardvark-Palestinian conflict, camouflaged as measures against violence, it said in a statement. Yeah. Palestinian Bedouin communities in the occupied West Bank facing campaign of ethnic cleansing. Amnesty International reports that aardvark land is carrying out a state-led campaign of ethnic cleansing against Palestinian Bedouin and herding communities in the occupied West Bank, warning that authorities are accelerating annexation efforts through forced displacement and settler violence. Yeah, the ultra-Zionist settlers are lawless, homicidal, genocidal thugs backed up by the IDF. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Extreme anti-Septicism is going to be reported here now. Most aardvarks oppose Netanyahu's re-election, as Trump says PM may quit politics. And this is a new poll out of Haaretz. Haaretz says most aardvarks don't want Netanyahu to run in the next election. Will they do the Samson option and just blow up aardvark land for this transgression against evil? That's what needs to be done here to combat this anti-Septic attitude out of aardvark land toward our leader, Bibi. More of the systematic campaign to build greater aardvark land. Aardvark land military bulldozers uprooted several centuries-old carb trees in the city of Dura, south of Hebron, in the occupied West Bank. They're targeting all their infrastructure, whatever they got left, their irrigation, the actual agriculture, their livestock, their homes, everything, all of it systematically. Here's some images of cutting down these old trees, bulldozing them. Systematic arson campaigns as well. I think we have that report. Do we have that report? Oh, we'll save that. That's the last report. Here's we got a little bit more here now for you. 4 Alaska sites deliberately emptied as aardvark land deepens control over Moss compound. They're trying to provoke the Muslims to do a giant revolt here now. Aardvark land authorities have emptied 4 facilities inside the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the high holy site for these for Islam, for these Muslims, compound where were used by the Islamic Waqf administration in what Palestinian watchdogs describe as a new step aimed at weakening the Jordanian-backed body that oversees the holy site. UK Big Brother said, you guys stop it. They're not listening. So their scapegoats they've set up here are out of their control, obviously, at this point. And they want that as well. They have to publicly denounce it because it's obviously evil. But behind the scenes, they're cheering it on, probably funding it, probably providing intelligence, the whole freaking 9 yards, right? But publicly, hey, we're against this. We're UK. We care. Sure you do, but they set up the whole thing, right? Oh, man. So, yeah, they're just constantly desecrating these Muslims' holy site, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, poking, saying they want them to react violently, obviously, and then that'll be excuse to go do more massacre campaigns against these Muslims. You see, that's the point behind all of this. And we got to get rid of the Al-Aqsa Mosque to build Solomon's third temple to bring about the second coming of the fake Messiah. So all that is playing in the background of this as well. Keep that in mind. And then our final report of the day here for you. I guess we got to check our breaking news, but yeah, what the hell? These Christians deserve it, right, MAGA? Sure they do. Christian village in occupied West Bank goes up in flames after large-scale attack by Aardvark land ultra-Zionist settlers. So yeah, they're burning down Christian villages there now in the occupied West Bank. They've never even accused them of having Hamas there. These are Christians. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you see, for you good Christian Zionists. I guess they love it, right? Yesterday, extremist ultra-Zionist Aardvark land settler group launched a coordinated arson attack on the historic Christian village of Taibith there in the occupied West Bank, torching agricultural fields east of Ramallah as part of a systemic campaign of ethnic cleansing. The violence against the 3,000-year-old Christian village intensified following the establishment of an illegal settlement outpost in the immediate vicinity as local residents face persistent encroachment and assaults by ultra-Zionist Aardvark settlers, whose stated objective is to seize the area's rich pastoral land. Straight up ethnic cleansing against Christians in the occupied West Bank and Christian Zionists here in America, along with Aardvark land ambassador Mike Huckabee. They love it. It's just pure evil, but that's who these people are, pure evil. All right, let's get to the latest, greatest headlines. Ooh, they turned their site red. Not good. Iran International. Here, take a look. Take a look here. They turned their site red. It's hot. Red alert. It's not usually red. It's usually a white background here. Trump warns Iran to accept deal or face more bombing as U.S. resumes strikes. And then Iran said they're going to strike back. And then tit for tat, away we go. Full-scale war. Iran says retaliatory operations against United States aggression are ongoing. Let's take a look at Al Jazeera latest headlines before we get out of here. Tehran launches retaliatory strikes after U.S. attacks Iran for second day. Full-on war there now, bro. Now we got to retaliate back and so on and so forth. Latest U.S.-Iran military escalation. Oil prices surge. U.S. military says attacks on Iran completed. Trump tells U.S. media outlets Tomahawk missiles hit targets close to Tehran. But now Iran's launching counterattacks, and then we got to counter that back. It's all quite horrific. Let's pray for peace. It's so senseless. But again, part of engineering the global famine, part of the Great Reset, part of the new era in the new world order. All right, let's head over to the channels. Let's take a look at Odysee. As it's, ongoing bombings. Shout out to the Odysee audience, the chat over there. Shout out to John, For Scully, Highland, Pink Vegas. Thank you guys for tuning in, chatting it up over there. What is For Scully says, have to go to court tomorrow. Please pray for me. Pray for For Scully. And they have a good day at court. Hopefully it's nothing that serious. Traffic court. Hopefully they don't, screw you over out of a bunch of money. It's probably what they'll want to do. You know what I mean? Bogus tickets, they say. Yeah. Might be able to fight it. I had a friend that they gave him didn't make a complete stop at a stop sign ticket. And he legitimately didn't see the stop sign because there was a tree there and the branch was literally covering the stop sign. It was all on city property. And so the city was responsible for the maintenance of the tree, pruning the tree back so it didn't cover the stop sign, right? They didn't do that, but the cops still gave him the ticket. He took pictures and did his own little whole investigation, went to court, and got it thrown out. So I get may be able to fight it if you feel like it's really not legitimate, but you got to build your own case, obviously. But that is one success story I've heard personally that I know is true about beating a traffic ticket in court. Let's see here now. Some more comments there. The hospital that receives U.S. casualties has placed ads in Stars and Stripes asking for lots of blood. Oh my, that's from John. Not good. Sounds quite horrific. I think it's called Kaiser Salutern. That hospital abruptly stopped baby deliveries indefinitely. That don't sound good. Sounds quite horrific, actually. Conspiracy should not be confused with the pejorative label conspiracy theory. So John said, I agree. I felt sorry for Britney Spears, and I never heard her music or watched videos of her performing. I just sensed she was troubled. Yes, I do believe she's a MK Ultra, as many, probably all of them, as many of these performers are, right? Because they're under the control. They're under their control, and those are what you're seeing publicly are breakdowns of the different alters, personas that have been MK Ultra, trauma-based, fear-based, mind-controlled into them. It's all just quite horrific. All part of Epstein as well. You'll never hear that reporting out of the your Mockingbird mainstream media, linking up the mind control and occult activities of Epstein. You'll never hear them reporting on that. We do here at Weaponized News. U.S. casualties are increasing. Be certain of that. John says, how many white men died for Greater Aardvark Land project? Wowzers. Too many, I'll tell you that. Wandering Tang have no homelands. All right, guys, thank you for chatting it up, keeping it cordial and informative on the Odysee. Thank you for tuning in on Substack, Bitchute, Facebook, Kick, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's take a look at YouTube and Rumble chat over here. Shout out to Fat Bob. He said, "Who's cheering on this mother effer?" John DuPont. That's a good one. Fat Bob has the best jokes out there. For those in the know, probably goes over most people's heads, but we get each other. We get each other here, so I get it. Max says there's a martial studio in Tacoma called Conquest Self-Defense. Martial arts studio, I think he's talking about. Strong gets it. He's laughing over there at Fat Bob's jokes. Ben Shapiro versus the Gentiles. That should be the cage match. I hear you. What does Plain say on the YouTube? Every time the U.S. claims that Iran's military capabilities have been wiped out, how is Iran still able to retaliate so effectively? How will world trust U.S. narrative? World doesn't trust U.S. narrative. You have to be a complete, I don't even know what, just in some fantasy land to believe U.S. narrative at this point. That's the mystery. We destroyed all of Iran, but somehow they're still bombing our bases. Must be aliens. I'm glad we can provide a place for you to vent, Fat Bob. Everybody needs that. Come to Weaponized News chat and vent out your frustrations about our corrupt, dark occultist, satanic government. People here get you. They're going to retaliate, Leslie says. Indeed, they are. They've already said as much. Fat Bob says, my chest swells with American pride, Sam, and pride too, because Fox News TV told me. Pentagon equals Aardvark insiders since inception, since Operation Paperclip. No. Yes. Look at that one eye symbol, Sam. Ruckus on the YouTube says the spy on them to make sure they don't defect and or blackmail. Yeah. Yep. Insurance. They would never do such a thing. It was denied while they're interviewing a literal spy on TV. So we can trust they're legitimate, right? Robert on the YouTube says the White House, the White House asked to use the Situation Room to talk because all the bugs that Harvard placed in. We the listeners in the chat are on it, man. You guys are on it. Appreciate it. Shout out to A-Dub. Let's see. Gonna try out the 80th. I'm ashamed of them, Max says. I'm ashamed of them too. Don't soccer at me, bro. Oh, shout out to Denver. Chattanooga has 2 pro soccer teams, pro-am leagues. Soccer has always been big in Chattanooga. Maybe I don't like soccer because I live in Mexico over here in California. Feels like Mexico anyway. I don't like soccer. I grew up playing like your mainstream American sports, football, baseball, basketball, and a little bit of wrestling. No soccer for me, thank you. How many times have the U.S. tried to intervene in other countries and nothing came? Well, something came of it, but not the deal they were telling us, right? Something came of it. It was for an agenda, make no mistake about it, but for not for liberating the people of those said oppressed countries or for the American people. But again, all wars are bankers' wars and wars are racket. Somebody is profiteering handsomely off of these military interventions. I can't read your name there. It's written in Arabic. But shout out to that viewer and comment on the YouTube, Pamela. Shout out to Pamela on the Rumble. Says it's good that depths of Bill Gates' depravity hits some radars, but no mention of ways Rockefeller, Gates, Monsanto, biotech mafia patent GMO mutants to sell as food and medicine. That's a mouthful, but yeah, indeed. Bill Gates' crimes against humanity are legion. Believe that. Nothing's more uplifting and always better with Sam's Hebrew pronunciation. Excuse me. I got some phlegm in my throat. Oh my gosh. Shout out to NY. Says, hello, good job. Thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in. Cheers to Bartow. Shout out to Bartow. What a scumbag. They're insane. Let's see here. Plutonium. Shout out to Plutonium. Denver says there are no cowards like aardvarks. Seriously, who goes and murders women and kids and celebrate like a military victory? Yeah. Who the hell goes on TV with a convicted spy doing a report trying to debunk a claim that they're still spying? How does any of this make any sense? It's got to be like demoralization, it's got to be psyops, right? And they're running out of them because it's just ridiculous for anybody paying attention at this point. Peter on the YouTube says consciousness is the only frontier. Addiction is the only reality. Enlightenment is the only game, and ignorance is the only goading motivational driver. Some deep philosophical thoughts there from Peter. Thank you. Pay-per-view. Is that cage match going to be pay-per-view? Probably. America 250, we love America. Yeah, you got to pay to even watch the fight. I wouldn't doubt it. I haven't even looked into it. Pray for peace indeed. Yes, thank you, Fat Bob. We're going to pray for peace because it's kicking off hot and heavy. He says, I truly hate Fox. I agree with you. It's quite horrific. They're on Fox News, on mainstream American cable TV, all over the place, saying kill people all day. It's just like, who could stomach that? It's just, man, come on, man. Dimmer says he ran cross country and played soccer, road crew, and was a 1.5 mile runner. I would have liked to do some type of water sports. We did have swimming, but I was in like I graduated Kerman High School, a very poor rural community here in the Central Valley of California. So we didn't have much, let me tell you. We did not have much going on there. Demoralizing the press is serious, Max said, and then that will enable them to crack down. Indeed. All right, thank you guys for tuning in, chatting it up, and keeping it lively, cordial, and informative in the chats. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening, and we'll see you back here for more Weaponized News tomorrow on Thursday. Hopefully they don't blow up the world between now and then. Expect heavy bombings in West Asia and Iran, as that is where we're at. Hot war with Iran is going on as we speak. All right, let's pray for peace, and we'll see you tomorrow for more